Hey everybody, it's your boy Big L PhD. It's your boy Big L PhD. Up in the heezy for sheezy. So I want to talk a little bit about social media and the impact that that is having on our lives. In particular, self-esteem, but really on our lives in general, right? Social media, while a net good as far as communicating, connecting people that you haven't seen in a long time, staying in touch with people that you went to high school with, finding lost friends from college, all that, posting pictures of your family and all that. I think that the more information is coming in, the more we realize that it's having a negative effect upon ourselves, our self-esteem, and more than likely society as a whole. Now, it'll take a few years for social scientists to really confirm that social media has been a net negative, and I'm not even sure if they actually say that they will, if they actually believe that or come to that conclusion, that they'll be able to print those types of articles, unless, of course, there's something after social media, and they'll look back and say, "Oh yeah, this was a terrible time for human interactions." So I listen to a lot of content, and it's not lost on me the irony of posting on social media. It's not lost to me at all. It really isn't lost to me. But how else do we get our message out right? More people, as I heard somebody say, the good thing about social media platforms, YouTube, TikTok, etc., is that everybody has a voice. And the bad thing is that everybody has a voice, right? Everybody's talking, everybody has something to say. We get good information, we get bad information. We get people who don't understand the difference, don't know how to filter out information, don't understand uh, differentiating between fact and fiction. We run into that. And it's affecting our voting, it's affecting our parenting, it's affecting our relationships, intimate partner relationships. It's affecting, importantly, for this talk, this discussion, our self-esteem. And I really think that it's really something that we got to take a strong look at for ourselves. Now, I'm not going to say to get off social media completely. And I found some articles about the addictive measures of it and what is considered addictive. Is it 2-3 hours a day of constant scrolling? Um, are we getting these dopamine hits? Are we were consuming 10-minute content before. Now it's a minute clips, right? Short form content. All this different type of thing, right? It's making our attention span slower. We're becoming more used to more exotic and colorful thumbnails to get our attention. All that, all these things, right? The social scientists are actually looking into. But I want to ask a question: what about what it's doing to our relationships and to our self-esteem, which are really intertwined? Our relationships and our self-esteem are intertwined. The better we think about ourselves, the better that we think that we can do in the dating market. And in some cases, it gives us an inflated sense of self-worth, where we don't think that the guy, 30 years ago, the guy who was a truck driver making good money isn't looked at anymore, because they think that their self-esteem, because certain people's self-esteem thinks that it's above the pettiness, above the peasants. But what is it doing to your self-esteem, right? What do you think about your hair in comparison to other people? What do you think about your looks in comparison to other people? Your weight, your education, your job, your status in life, the type of car that you drive. Everything was going good before we had this idea that you need to constantly level up. And not going good it's really not a proper word. It's really not the proper context, proper phrase, because there's always been advertisements. There's always been the it girl in school. There was always posters, again, advertisements, whether it's on commercials or on billboards, saying that this is the ideal beauty standard. This is the ideal muscle standard for guys. Right? If you don't look like this, then you're looking like a slob. So I'm saying, I could go on and on about this, but I think right now the point is clear that what I'm trying to get through, and that is simply the limiting of social media. And understand that no one is perfect. Many people who are on social media are living a lie, and the only way that they actually have their existence is because people such as ourselves go over to support their OnlyFans, click on their TikToks allowing them to have money, click on their Facebooks to allow them to access a higher level of income so they can flash and floss and show us about the income that they have. It reminds me, gosh, what's the name of that group? Birdman was in it, rap group. Can't think of the name of it, but Birdman. Anyway, they used to sing about their lyrics were singing about money, how much money we have, and the more the people listened to it, the more money they made. So therefore, they could keep singing about the. I wish I could remember the name of that group. I'll Google it and put it up there. So anyway, I mean this is the conduit that we're in, and this is all driven by this insatiable need to justify ourselves, to boost our self-esteem, to make us think more highly of ourselves. But I'm asking, in the meantime, in the interim, what is it doing to your self-esteem? Do you now feel that you know that you are not worthy, or that you should be driving a better car, or that you should be living in a better house, or you should be drinking champagne at every meal? I mean, is that the way that you perceive life, that you're not going on vacations every other weekend, not being flown out? Is this driving your perception? Is this driving your self-esteem? Is this driving your self-image? And more importantly, how is this affecting your self-talk? Do you think that you're a loser? Do you think that you're behind schedule? Do you think that you're not with it? What do you think about yourself because of the lack of self-esteem, because of the lack of because there's a lack? What is it that you think about that? And if you are one of these people, if you are there, then acknowledge it, and let's start to do something about it. Let's start to turn the tide and turn things around. Let's start to really get a grip on ourselves and look at ourselves the way that we really are, not the way that we think that we ought to be, or our self-esteem and all that, but the way that we really are, the way that we really are, the way that our lives are really functioning, our real financial status. And I'm not talking about always trying to level up and pushing yourself and being a lifelong learner. I'm not talking about that. I'm assuming that if you're watching this content that you're already thinking like that. But I'm talking about dealing with self-esteem issues. I'm talking about dealing with self-doubt issues. I'm talking about dealing with these problems and them being exacerbated by the content that you're constantly consuming. Just like we know with food, you are what you eat. It's the same thing with consuming constantly negative images, negative perceptions, or perceptions of images that we can never be. Never be. It's one thing to look at somebody and be driven to go back to school, driven to start a business, driven to do whatever. But to think that you've always got to emulate this, and that you're nothing and no one unless you are achieving this level, is destructive. So the first thing I want to say is turn off social media. At the very mindset, you ought to limit it. I know people who take 30-day breaks and all that, and I think that all that is important. But we might want to, I would say at the end of that 30-day break, do a self-evaluation about how much you missed it. Have you broken the cycle? Do you think that you need this anymore? Do you think that it's benefiting you? Have you lost anything in the 30 days that you've not been watching it or consuming it? Did you miss anybody? Did anybody miss you? I know people take 30-day breaks from Facebook and be like, hey, I'm back. We didn't even know you was gone. we didn't even know you was gone. it's a hard lesson. It's a hard idea to get into our minds that the world was spinning before we got here. It's spinning now. And when we're long gone, it'll still be spinning. There'll be something else besides social media. There'll be another movie coming out. There'll be another show. There'll be another TikToker, another influencer, another musician, another genre, another generation, another type of vehicle. It's human progress. You have to make the best out of your life today. You have to make the best out of your life today. And for the people in the back, you have to make the most and the best out of your life today. Limit social media. Limit the limiting thoughts, if not turn them off altogether. If these things are feeding into your social thoughts, if these social media are feeding into your daily self-talk, daily self-perceptions, daily self-images, daily whatever, if they're becoming intrusive, right? You can't do anything without looking at and comparing your life to somebody else. Then it's really time that you thought about limiting social media. There's enough articles out there for us to read, for us to consume. And, it's a hard ask to say eliminate it altogether, but you certainly ought to think about limiting it. You certainly should think about limiting it. So let me know your thoughts, your opinions, and much love and peace.